This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Oh, I was going to say afternoon, but we are well into the evening here, just about 10 o'clock as I hit the record button. Just wanted to follow up on kind of my story earlier today on Evan Bouchard, Ryan McLeod, the arbitration situation, and of course the contract that will be coming at some point for Evan Bouchard. The Oilers, the bigger hurt, the bigger problems are yet to come this offseason because of what is going to happen with Ryan McLeod. And then, of course, what opens up for Evan Bouchard over the course of the next month or so. Friends, welcome aboard. This is Dolynny TV, and I'm glad to have you along for the ride this evening. My name's Tyson. Welcome into the channel as we get set up to talk a little bit of Edmonton Oilers late night on a Thursday. If you're down in southern Alberta, you probably got the next 2 weeks off at Stampede. Of course, it's going to be a good time. Me, myself, and I'm going to go on down to Alabama to Saturday night? Yeah, Saturday night, and enjoy the heck out of a good concert. I might only know a few songs, but don't worry, we'll have a good time. All right, before we get too deep into this, friends, nope, nope, different project. Consider hitting that subscribe button if you're new on the channel. You got a pretty good minute and a half preview of what I'm like here on Dolynny TV, especially when I talk Edmonton Oilers. So love to have you aboard if you're new to the channel. But without further ado, let's get into those bigger problems I just talked about. Because the Oilers, they are in a world of hurt, okay? You break down the salary arbitration situation for Ryan McLeod. No matter what, he has a contract as an Edmonton Oiler next year, and there is no risk of an offer sheet now, right? That is what we are locked in with Ryan McLeod. However, as I elaborated a little bit on in the video earlier today, the live stream that crashed, I apologize if you're waiting for me to come back. My phone overheated. But basically what happens with that is now you almost have to either sign Ryan McLeod first and get away from arbitration, similar to what the Oilers did last year, or you have to wait until arbitration is over and get Evan Bouchard a contract after. So you kind of look at two things that are very similar, right? Ryan McLeod and Evan Bouchard contract, both due for raises, both very important pieces of the Oilers next year, and both guys you want to sign for as cheap as possible while giving them as much as possible to be happy. That is the goal here. We've targeted anywhere between 4.5 to 5.5 has been the range. Now that Ryan McLeod's going to arbitration, though, yeah, it could get interesting. Right now you're talking about a 5.5 to 6 million range for both of those guys, and you've still got to sign Raphael Lavoie to a contract when he's ready to be an NHL player this season. So that's where we find ourselves, right? Not a good situation because of a couple things. You're now delayed on Evan Bouchard, opens up the risk of an offer sheet, although I did mention earlier today as well, I don't know who's got money left, and whoever has money left can't have much. So that's kind of the situation too. I don't think there's an offer sheet out there for Evan Bouchard that, no matter what Ryan McLeod's number is going to tear Evan Bouchard away from the situation he finds himself in Edmonton. I think a lot of people have the sentiment, and I'm of the same frame of mind, it would be a real bad choice for Evan Bouchard to leave the home situation and spot he has on the Edmonton Oilers roster. So, no matter what the money is, I doubt that's what it's about for Evan Bouchard, who had just an unreal playoffs on the top power play unit for the Oilers. I think there's something a little bit more to it staying here. And obviously, if we saw an offer sheet risk, you would have probably already heard about it. And the RFA talent that is available via offer sheet is pretty loaded as well. I think there's a couple guys out there that the NHL teams around us would prefer to go for rather than Evan Bouchard. So therein lies the problem. You got to get him signed. And when I say bigger problems are ahead for the Edmonton Oilers, bigger problems are to come, well, simply you look at it, right? You got to wait on Ryan McLeod, either sign him quick, maybe a little bit more money, avoid arbitration, kind of Yamamoto Puljujärvi-esque, or you wait until next month to sign Bouchard, and then you kind of have to play it out. Right now you have to delay waiting on a fourth line center. You have to delay signing Raphael Lavoie. Right, you could sign Lavoie and you could keep him in the minors and it'd all be hunky-dory, but I believe he's an NHL player next year, and I believe that's why the Oilers want to get him as well signed as quickly as possible. So you're looking at two things there right now for the Oilers, where you've got two players waiting to sign because Ryan McLeod's in the situation. And honestly, Ryan McLeod is not at fault here. That's what it's made out to seem like from what I've said over the past few minutes. Ryan McLeod is at no fault. The Oilers got a sweetheart deal from him last year, right? He literally made the cap dollars work for the Oilers. Now, okay, hey, I'm going to have a bigger role. I'm going to need a bigger cut. I did you a deal last year. Let's work. And that's all this is let's work together, find a deal, because no judge is going to tell the Oilers how much to pay Ryan McLeod next year. I guarantee that. It will be settled before the arbitration day, probably a week or two before the arbitration date. So you're talking, it might be settled in the next week or so, but when you look at it, you're opening up that possibility. The longer you wait to sign Evan Bouchard, the more teams still have cap, the more teams that have signed their RFAs, the weaker the crop gets, the more desperate another team might get, and you open up that possibility of that offer sheet. That's not new news. But again, right, you delay signing a fourth line center. You delay signing potentially Raphael Lavoie. You delay rounding out your roster and potentially taking the ability to find those bargain free agents on the market sooner than later, right? You don't want to be sitting there at camp bargain hunting for a PTO to sign up and get gone, because you know what, our PTOs last year, Jason Demers played one game, Jake Virtanen disappeared into the Swiss League and got kicked off his team or some crazy stuff, right? Like, honestly, that's where we're at with this. Is the Oilers don't have a strong history outside of maybe Alex Chiasson in the past few years of signing a PTO player that is an impact roster player. So we want to still do some shopping in August, late July possibly, where there is still valuable, talented bottom six help on the market. So when you're talking about it, the bigger problems are yet to come. The longer the Oilers wait to get everything done here, the bigger the problems get, right? The bigger problems are yet to come, because you have to play the waiting game, but the longer you do, the harder you make it on yourself. Obviously, that's not breaking news by any means, but it's video worthy to just sit here and have a more full-length discussion, because I didn't get to have it in the previous video today. So for the Oilers at this point, everything's good. Everything's still according to plan, but the longer you wait, the harder it's going to get, the worse it's going to get. And I realistically don't know if the Oilers are going to be that better team to start next year. Don't worry, they will be a better team entering the playoffs. The cap situation at the trade deadline will be much better this year. Trading that first round pick again this year, it'll all hammer out, don't you worry. But I think a lot of what is going to happen in Oilers land is there's going to be a lot of confusion as to how did we get worse on paper and in the lineup to start opening night. Now, obviously, the addition of Matthias Ekholm, that changes everything. I think people are overblowing how much worse this team is because you got Matthias Ekholm. You didn't have that last year, okay? I'm going to make an argument this year if Cody Ceci rebounds and Philip Broberg is a capable top four defenseman in any situation, you are going to be just fine with this top six D-men, right? No problemo. You could have an elite defense through the regular season. Playoffs, different story, but an elite regular season defense where this Oilers team, honestly, through the first 2 months could clip at a 75 win percentage if they really wanted to. But that is best case scenario. So you want to give yourself the ability to have an even better case scenario, and that is obviously getting through the slug of everything now and not facing bigger problems down the road. Friends, I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. Like I said, I really just wanted to kind of full length this discussion that I had going on in the back of my head after ending that video weirdly when my phone shut down. So thank you so much for tuning in this evening. I'll catch you tomorrow, Friday, before Alabama on Saturday at the Saddle Dump. Right? I know. I love the Saddle Dome, but it's still a dump. I'm up on out of here.